Here's 2014 question 6. This is a slope fields separable differential equation problem. I'm skimming through it. I see slope fields, but more importantly, I see finding the particular solution. Okay, that's the big component. That's where you're going to score a lot of your points on the AP exam. Okay, or at least the easy ones, at least. So part A here, they want you to sketch the solution curve that passes through the point 0, 1. This doesn't happen too often, but even if it does happen this year, it's a really easy question. So first thing you want to do, even though the graph is already written there, 0, 1 is right here. So you have to imagine that you don't have the graph, okay? All you see are the slope fields. So if you just notice, if I zoom in here, I notice that my slopes are somewhat positive, so I'm going to kind of mimic it. Okay, and I'm going to keep mimicking those slopes. But if you notice, it's not reasonably different, but the moment I get to here, that slope tends to get a little bit more shallow or horizontal. So I'm going to start curving it. And I noticed that right after that little hump there, the slopes are negative and getting steeper and steeper and steeper. Okay, you could do the same thing over here. It's positive, but then it starts to get a little bit shallow. And then it starts getting negative and a little bit more vertical, steeper. Okay, you don't have to have exactly that, but the AP readers are looking for a curve that obviously passes through 0, 1, but something that resembles what I haven't read here. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, but that's a quick one-pointer. Again, I don't see that too often. Okay, here's part B. Write an equation of a tangent line. Okay, and then they ask you to do something else with it. So remember, we need a point and a slope. The point they already give you, it's right here, 0, 1. All we're missing is a slope. Remember, slope is just derivative. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in 0 and 1 into x and y respectively. Now, if you guys do that correctly, you should get 2. Okay, there's your slope and your point. So it's going to be y minus the y coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x coordinate. Okay, so technically you can leave it there to get this first point, but they do ask you to approximate f of 0.2, so you kind of have to go a little bit further here, okay? You have to get y by itself first, so y is going to equal 2 times x minus 0 plus the 1. The 0 is not necessary, but I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, okay? So then all you have to do is you're going to plug in 0.2 for x. Equal is equal. You can leave it right there. Scoring guidelines will go all the way through, but you don't have to, okay? Here's the last one, the biggest chunk of your points. They want you to find the particular solution. I'll write it over here, wherever I have room. Okay, and they give you an initial condition. So remember, first step, separate. Your y values should be on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this 3 minus y over here. Okay, all of my x's should be on the right side. So since I'm dividing by dx, I'm going to multiply by dx here. Okay, you have to know how to separate. Otherwise, you're losing a lot of points here. Okay, so dy will have 1 over 3 minus y equals cosine of x dx. Okay, first step is to separate. Next step is to actually integrate. Okay, the right side, the integral of cosine is just sine x. Okay, make sure that you practice that. Now over here, it's 1 over something linear. So you know it's going to be a natural log. But notice how this right here is not a simple linear. Okay, so if you take the derivative of 3 minus y, you're going to get negative 1. So we took the derivative, okay? And then you take the reciprocal, which is negative 1 over 1, or the other way around. But you end up getting negative 1, okay? That is what's going to pop out on the outside of your natural log. What we're doing here is use substitution, but in a very fast way. You take the derivative and the reciprocal. That's what's going to pop out on the outside. Then you have the natural log of just whatever's on the inside there. That's where most people make their mistake. Just watch out for it. Again, if it's not a simple linear, meaning linear means it has to be to the first degree, and simple meaning the leading coefficient has to be a positive 1. So just sidebar, I'll give you some examples. This is a simple linear. This is a simple linear. This is not a simple linear, okay? Because the x has a negative 2 in the front instead of the positive 1. This is not a simple linear because it's not linear to begin with, although it is simple, okay? So if you have a simple linear such as 1 over x plus 3, then you could just integrate that like normal without u substitution. That's just the natural log of x plus 3. And that's it, okay? All right, coming back to our problem. So you separate, second step, you integrate, and then don't forget your plus c, okay? Next step is you want to plug in your initial condition. Okay, so x is 0, y is 1. So let me go ahead and plug that in. I should get negative 1 times the natural log of 3 minus 1 equals sine of 0 plus the c. Here, I get the negative natural log of 2 equals c. The sine of 0 is just 0, but you could play equals equal, but I am not going to, okay? So now that we know what c is, I'm going to plug it back in here. I'm going to have the negative 1 times the natural log of 3 minus y equals sine x. And then here's my c, negative natural log of 2, okay? So all that's left is you getting y by itself, okay? So do this in a very plain way in terms of just keeping things the way it is without simplifying. I'm going to get rid of the negative 1 there. I'm going to have natural log of 3 minus y is equal to all of that. I'm not going to simplify it. You're more than welcome to do so, but you don't get any extra points for that. Okay? Now to get y by itself, I have to get rid of natural logs. I'm going to have a base of e on both sides. So now 3 minus y will equal e to that entire mess, sine x minus the natural log of 2 all over negative 1. Okay? Here, I am going to add the y and then subtract the e. So y will equal 3 minus e to the blah. I'm not going to write it out. Okay? Pause there for a second. Make sure you guys understand what I did mathematically. Or just text me if you guys have questions, okay? That's basically it.